28.8 millions in America struggle with an eating disorder at least once in their lifetime. Majority of them are adolescents. According to the National Association of Anorexia Nervosa and Associated Disorders, or ANAD, as I'll call it later on in the video, by age 14, it's normal for 60 to 70% of youth to try to lose weight, and 77% as young as 12 will start to dislike their own bodies. Kids are impressionable. They soak up ideas very easily, especially from their own peers or their family. So, if any one of them starts to have an idea or comment about their own bodies and express negativity about them, another kid will hear it and they are more likely to start to develop those same ideas for themselves. That's why it's dangerous for a child to not have an education on eating disorders and what triggers them, and why I suggest for us to start implementing more education in schools about eating disorders in order to prevent children of developing one later in their life. My research was extensive. I used a lot of government organization websites uh, to find solutions and prove that my solutions will work. What I had found was terrible. Majority of youth have an eating disorder these days, mostly due to social media, which I also touched up on as well. We need to educate children on how to be happy and healthy. According to ANAD, which I mentioned earlier, there are about 10,200 deaths each year. That equals to one death every 52 minutes. And as I said earlier, 28.8 million people, which is 9% of Americans, have an eating disorder. Unfortunately, there is a stereotype that women have eating disorders more than men, but that's not true. Eating disorders are non-discriminatory, and majority of people can have one if they have these specific thoughts in their mind. According to ANAD, 15% of eating disorders are from females, and 25% of men have one. That is nationwide. In Texas, there was a 2018 study by Strategic Training Initiative for the Prevention of Eating Disorders that found that 8% of Texans, which is 2.5 million people, have an eating disorder. Stripes says that of the 10,200 deaths each year, there's an estimate of 893.9 deaths in Texas that die from eating disorders. As I said earlier, social media is a leading cause for youth to have an eating disorder. The phones, tablets, computers, everything that can access social media apps like Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram, or all the other social media platforms that can cause children to find dangerous places on the internet that they don't know much about, unfortunately. And that leads them to trust, and sometimes it leads to them developing symptoms of eating disorders as well. According to the Social Media Victims Law Center, which I'll mention as SMVLC, social media exposes kids to unrealistic body standards, leading to negative body images and even body dysmorphia. These are some symptoms that can later develop in life into an eating disorder. Algorithms, like on TikTok, with their For You pages, feed kids dangerous and harmful content. Sometimes they're in the form of posts, like pictures or videos, or even group blogs. Some of those can be under hashtags. There's one even called Pro Ana, which is pro anorexia. What that does is there's a group of people online who advertise anorexia and fetishize it and make it seem like something that you would want. And unfortunately, children see this and they become victims of it as well. Children, as I said earlier, are like sponges. They cannot really tell fake from reality, which is why social media is very dangerous. From everything that I said, eating disorders are a very important issue in the world, especially today, and it needs a solution. What I found is that educating people on eating disorders has been proven to help youth not develop one, as well as treat it too. There was a recent survey by Larson N and a few others where they sampled 944 adults and 1,420 members of professional organizations. What they found was interesting. They found that educational topics on eating disorders were most likely to have the highest impact in decreasing eating disorders. I found more information to back up their study. There were four studies done by Ledron Anna S. and a few others as well, where they found that education affects those with eating disorders positively. It increases weight gain and it decreases the frequency of people forcing themselves to vomit, as well as binge eating and purging, which are a few different types of eating disorders and symptoms as well. What they concluded within their four studies is that education around eating disorders improved the knowledge in youth as well as decrease eating disorders within them as well. By informing the younger generations about eating disorders and how their bodies can be affected by one, we not only inform them of the dangers of an eating disorder, but we can also prevent as well as treat one if it gets too dangerous. Eating disorders are common, especially in youth, but education about them is lacking. I hope that my video was able to persuade anyone in my fight to support schools, educating students more about eating disorders so that way our youth can grow happy and healthy later in their life.